What up, everyone? So, got a last minute video here because I keep saying I want to do more videos, so I'm gonna. I want to do a little review on The Joker. I want to talk about the movie because I just went and saw it. Recording this is like 2 in the morning, so I want to get back into doing some movie reviews. So here's the way to do it. Puppy, come on. You want to come up here? Pup's right here. He keeps begging. Do you want to come up? Come here. You just want to stare at me? Okay, he's just going to stare at me. But he's right here. I'm going to do more videos coming up too in the future because I know a lot of people have been asking, wanting me to weigh in on the whole Loot Crate situation. I definitely will. I'm going to have my monthly review come up. I'm also going to have a weekly roundup video. So there's going to be some more consistent videos coming in the near future. So, other than that, I just want to get a discussion going and see what you guys thought of the movie. I don't have anything too insightful to say. There's not a ton to say about the movie, but I do want to talk about it and get back into the swing of things and hear your guys' thoughts on it as well. Just a heads up, there will be spoilers in this video. I know most people's reviews, they try not to do spoilers. I'm going to. So if you haven't seen it and you don't want it spoiled, do not watch this video. Other than that, yeah, let's get into it. Overall thoughts of it, I thought it was good. I thought it was better. It turned out better than I thought it was going to be. Because you know how DC's been in the past years. A lot of their movies look really good on paper or look really good in the previews. And then you see it in theaters and it's like, oh, not so much. So I kind of thought this might be the same thing. And yeah, I tried not to get my hopes up. I tried to go in with just no expectations and just take it for what it is. And it turned out to be a little better than what I thought it might have been. Because, for example, like Suicide Squad. I remember seeing the trailer to that. It looked so awesome with the whole Bohemian Rhapsody thing. That looked really, really cool, and then it turned out being really weird. And the same with Batman Superman. It looked really cool in the trailers, and then turned out to be really weird. This one actually delivered pretty well. Sorry, my computer's going into sleep mode. Let me change that. It turned out to be... I'm so sorry. I'm trying to do two things at once. So it turned out really well. I'm glad, first of all, let me say I'm really glad they made it rated R. So that just makes it so there's no limitations on the movie. Because whenever there's things that should be rated R and they end up being PG-13, the first thing I think about is like, well, what did they take out? Like, what could have been if this movie was rated R? Just like the Venom movie. That movie was supposed to be rated R and they changed it to PG-13 last minute. So the whole movie, I'm wondering what they cut out. And Tom Hardy himself said in an interview that most of the things they cut out of the movie to make it PG-13 were Venom, like were Venom scenes. Like, and he wasn't even in that movie that much. So it turned out to be really shitty. And they never even released like an uncut version of the movie, so we never got to find out what was in that actual rated R movie, which is really disappointing. So the good news about this, having it be rated R, is that you know they didn't really cut anything out. They really went balls out for it, and I appreciate that. So that got my hopes up a little bit, but we'll see if it pays off. It's always, as most people know, it's very risky making a rated R movie because it makes so much less money, literally based on the amount of people that can see it. When it's PG-13, it goes to a broader spectrum of people that can buy tickets and see the movie. When it's rated R, it's just limited based on numbers, so there's only so much it can do. And there have been great examples like Deadpool and Logan that paid off, but there's plenty of other examples that didn't make a lot of money because not that many people saw it and kids couldn't see it anyway. So hopefully a lot of people do see this and it encourages them to make more movies without limitations. I'm not saying every movie should be rated R, by far, like no way, but there are ones that should be or should have been. Like Suicide Squad. Sorry about that. My video got cut off. I'm doing a terrible job. This is, like I said, it was put together very last minute. Had my keyboard on the ground and freaking Pup stepped on the button to make it stop recording. So I had to stop and start again and re-record, and he's just being a nuisance. And you can't even see him. Pup, get over here. Come up here. Get up here and stop causing trouble. Come here. Come up here. Come up. Oh my gosh. What a pain in my ass. I'm trying to record. I'm trying to do shit. So I'm trying to remember where I even left off. So like I was saying, I hope this encourages that this movie makes more money, or at least a lot of money, and encourages production companies to, when movies need to be rated R, they should be. Like I was saying, like Suicide Squad, it should have totally been rated R because it's all about villains. It had the Joker in it. It's all about bad guys. It should have been rated R. And Venom should have been rated R too. That totally should have been that way, and it ended up not being that way, which is fine, but I just think there's some times where they really shouldn't withhold things. They really shouldn't restrain themselves. I know it's a risky move money-wise, but that's what I'm saying. I hope this makes a lot of money and encourages them to do more. So, into the actual movie. Now, first I'll talk about Joaquin Phoenix himself. He's a great actor. A lot of people were very sketched out when they heard that he was going to be Joker. They weren't too excited about it. And you know, I really hate that. People get so up in arms whenever they hear a superhero's cast, like by literally anyone. They get so butthurt about it, and I really hate that. As an artist myself, as someone that's done filmmaking, that's done all kinds of stuff, I really hate it when people judge things before they see them. Like all the way back to when Ben Affleck was cast as Superman. People were freaking out about it. And now that Robert Pattinson is cast, or sorry, not Superman, Batman. Now Robert Pattinson is cast as Batman, people are freaking out again. It's like, will you guys chill the fuck out? Like, wait till you see the movie. If you see the movie and you hate it and you want to complain about it then, go for it. Be my guest. But don't complain about something before you see it. Don't judge an actor based on bad movies they've done before, because a lot of times it's not their fault. People hated on Ben Affleck because he did Daredevil. It's like, he didn't make the movie. He was just cast in a shitty movie. It's like, it's not really his fault. He did fine as Batman. And honestly, I'm sure Robert Pattinson will do fine as well. I could give a shit less about the Twilight movies. I think they were dumb as hell. But, you know, that's not his fault. He didn't make them. So I'm sure he'll do just fine as Batman. But again, we'll see. So when Joaquin Phoenix was cast, a lot of people weren't excited about it. But I actually was. Because I've always seen him as a genuinely good actor. He's a good actor and a great method actor. And this one, if you've read the news or seen little documentaries, he definitely went full out for method acting. And for those of you who don't know what method acting is, essentially what that means is that you literally make yourself that character. You're not just practicing lines, you change your entire life and live the lifestyle of that character. So everything you do, every second of the day, you're that character. Your friends call you as that character. Everyone refers to you as that. So you're literally becoming that character all the time, even when you're not on screen, even when you're not rehearsing. And that's exactly what he did, and that's exactly what he's done in previous movies. So and in this movie, he did a really great job. He was a good actor. Everyone's always going to compare it to the Heath Ledger Joker. And, you know, I don't know if anything will ever outdo that. Not just because he did such a great job, because he did, but it was just so iconic. So I don't think people should compare it to that. I think people should really view this as its own movie. People should view this as a standalone film and not compare it to the Batman movies. So that being said, I think he did a great job. The movie itself, I think, was pretty well done. I'm, again, very glad they made it rated R. The first hour or so of the movie, like most of the movie, was pretty boring, and a lot of things didn't really make sense. And can you stop? You are such a killer of the filming process. I'm trying to talk. Can you stop? Can I kiss? Thank you. So a lot of it was really boring and didn't make a lot of sense. And I talked to my friends and they felt the same way. It was just very boring at first. There was not that much happening, and it was just very slow to start. And I kind of was hesitant in liking the movie because it's like, is this really all that's going to happen? And then it went from like 0 to 60. Like towards the end, I think in the last like 30 minutes of it, it really jumped up full scale and got really intense, which was pretty cool to see. Oh, I forgot where I was going with that. So that was really exciting to see, and I'm glad they really took advantage of it. Because the whole first half while I'm watching it, nothing really that inappropriate happened, and the whole time I'm thinking like, well, should they have made this PG-13 if they're really not going to push the limits of what they can show? And then in the second half, it really did. It's like, okay, I'm glad they made this R, because now this is very intense, and now you really see this Joker character coming out. Whereas like the whole first hour and a half of the movie, or however long it was, he just wasn't really the Joker. He was just a guy that just had some shitty things happen to him. And it was just so boring, that whole process. So when you see him finally reach that breaking point, you see him like, okay, this second right here, like now he's the Joker. Now he has become that character. Now he's like fully into that character, and that got really exciting. So that got me excited to see what they're going to do with this. Because before I could really give a shit less about the Robert Pattinson Batman. I was like, oh, of course I'll see it, and I'm sure it'll be fine. But I wasn't that excited. But now I'm excited because I'm thinking that maybe they're going to incorporate Joker into that, and that'll be really cool because he did such a good job on that. So I'm pretty excited to see where they go with that character now that they set it up. So from what I've come to understand, there is no more DCEU. There's no DC Extended Universe. They've kind of scrapped that whole thing, which I think is fine because no one was super excited about it. Justice League was dumb. Like there was a lot of things that weren't going for it. So they're saying they're doing standalone film. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for kisses. Oh my gosh. So recording got stopped again. Now I'm having computer problems. I can't catch a fucking break with this video. This is like the worst video I've ever done. Right? Oi. Back to what I was saying. So there's no DC Cinematic Extended Universe anymore. So after hearing that, I'm much like we're not. Oh my gosh. We're not going to see any crossovers in the near future, which is much less exciting to look forward to movies. But that doesn't mean that Joker's not going to be in the Batman movie, because I don't think that's technically going to be considered a crossover if Joker's in the next Batman movie, but, you know, whatever. So it's not really an extended universe. But it got me really excited for it, because now that we've had this entire movie, Joker's never had his own movie before. So now we have this, like, fully developed character, this well-acted-out character that has this full backstory to it, and now we might see him interact with Batman, probably not in this next one with Robert Pattinson, but probably the one after that, so they can develop both the characters. That's somewhat exciting. I'm really excited to see where they take that character and see where they go with it, because they really developed him pretty well. And what I did appreciate about it is, if you watch the movie, this whole spontaneous laughter thing, it sounds kind of stupid and it sounds really made up, but the funny thing is, that is an actual thing. That's an actual condition that people have, and I knew that going into it. I didn't know that was in the movie, but I remember actually seeing commercials on TV that were narrated by Morgan Freeman, which is funny because he was in the Batman movies. But it's called PBA, which stands for I think it's pseudo-bulbar effect or something like that. But I thought it was interesting that it's an actual syndrome that people have that they've never really explored and never really thought to add to that character. So I thought it was somewhat fitting, and it was also interesting because they put an actual name and condition. They didn't say the name of the movie, but they put an actual condition to this character. Because in previous iterations of the Joker, he's never really had a specific condition. He's just been a crazy person, and that's just what's been accepted. So it's interesting that they're developing the character and giving him actual conditions and actual character traits like that. So I thought that was very intriguing. So other than that, what I really liked was like the last parts of the movie where it got, it's kind of fucked up to say, but it's all the parts that got really violent. It just got really, really interesting because, like I said, the first 3/4 of the movie was so boring. I thought it wasn't going to go anywhere, and it was just kind of getting old. And then it took a hard turn, and then it got, like I said, from 0 to 60, and some shit got real right there, and it just got really gnarly. The only thing that I thought was also interesting, so Bruce Wayne's in the movie, so Batman's in it, his family, that whole murder scene is in there, but I thought it was interesting because the Joker wasn't the killer. Now, if you know anything about comic history, the Joker was never the killer of Batman's parents. He only was in the Michael Keaton Batman, which was the 1989-1990 version of Batman. They made Joker the killer of Bruce Wayne's parents, and that was the whole story there. Which, that's the only time that ever happened. So I thought it was interesting that they brought that concept into the Joker movie where Bruce Wayne was there and part of the story, but then didn't make Joker the killer. So I thought that was an interesting choice. Now, I'm sure it's still the same effect because one of the person that murdered his parents was part of the whole riot wearing a clown mask. So inadvertently, Joker kind of still murdered his parents because it was because of that whole movement. So I think in the movie when they meet, I'm sure he'll still be to blame for the murder of his parents. But I just thought that was an interesting twist, which that, I don't know, it seemed weird. It seemed like it would have been cooler if Joker was the person who murdered him. But, you know, just a minor little thing that I thought was interesting and funny about that. So, yeah, but it's kind of cool that they are already tying it into Batman, and they already kind of are setting that up, so I thought that was interesting as well. I should have written down my thoughts a little bit. I'm scatterbrained all over the place. But other than that, I thought it was really good. Overall, it was a good movie. I think it's worth seeing. It's just very intense. It's an intense movie, and I'm glad they really kind of went all out and showed the real crazy side of everything he did. And now he's a fully developed character, and I'm excited to see what they end up doing with that. So now this has actually gotten me excited to see Robert Pattinson as Batman. I'm pronouncing his name right, by the way. I could be mispronouncing it. I'm excited to see that movie just for the fact that Joker might be incorporated into it. The only other thing I wasn't sure about, which I was talking to my friends about, was the time period this is supposed to take place. I was having a real rough time judging it because it kind of looked like the 70s, to be quite honest. It looked like the attire and the cars, the police cars, it looked like they were from the 70s. But then we realized that couldn't be possible. So I'm like, is it supposed to be the 90s? And my friend pointed out that they had the Energizer Bunny advertisements. So that showed that it couldn't have been the 70s because that first time Energizer Bunny appeared wasn't until 1988. So I'm thinking, well, maybe it was the 90s? Like late 80s, early 90s, which is the exact time period that Michael Keaton Batman took place. That was during that time period. So I'm kind of thinking it was 90s. That's what I thought it was. And people were, someone else was saying like the TVs and stuff look like from the 70s. It's like, well, yeah, but it was a poverty area, so maybe they just had old equipment, old TVs, old cars, stuff like that. So I'm thinking it was 90s, but I'm still kind of confused on the timeline though, because I also thought the only problem I had with Joaquin Phoenix being cast as it was his age. He just seemed really old to be playing an origin story version of Joker. Because as far as I know, he's pushing 40 or in his 40s or something like that. He's an older guy, like he's up there. And Bruce Wayne in the movie is like, I don't know, 10, 12, if even that. He was a pretty young kid, so I'm not sure where that timeline's going to stack up, and if it is in the 90s, is the next Batman going to take place in the present future, or is it going to be also in the 90s, like early 2000s? So I'm kind of confused on that timeline, because it seems like Joker's going to be really old by the time Batman becomes Batman. So I'm kind of confused about that. So I'm interested to see what they're going to do with that. And they also didn't, as far as I know, unless I missed it, they didn't give a date on when that movie was actually supposed to be taking place. So I'm curious if anyone does know or has that confirmed or just has an opinion on it, like when it looked like. I'd be interested to hear what you guys have to say about that. So other than that, overall score on the movie, I'm going to give it probably an 8.5 out of 10. I think I'm hesitant to give it a higher score because I'm interested to see what they do with it. I know they're developing this character and it seems really good, but I kind of want to see what the next step is, because if they totally shit the bed, then this movie is going to be kind of a waste and it's not going to be that great. But if it leads to somewhere great, I think that gives this movie more value, if that makes sense. But it was a good movie, definitely worth seeing. I don't think anyone would be disappointed by it. So that's why I'm going to give it that 8.5, because it was definitely good on that better side of it. But I'm just really, there's some things where I'm confused on, and until they're more explained, I can't really like give it like a fully better score, a better opinion on that. I know it sounds weird, but that's just how I feel about it. So let me know what you guys think about the movie. What are your scores on the movie? What are your thoughts on the movie? Do you have any questions on it? Do you want to start a discussion going on it? Feel free to do so in the comments. Talk about anything you like. So like I said, I want to be doing more videos and get back into the swing of things, and that means getting some discussion going, talking about it in the comments, and seeing what you guys would like to see. Other than that, I have a roundup video coming up of some cool things I've picked up, some more discussion there, and I'm going to be doing my monthly review with some of the boxes, and I am going to talk about Loot Crate, don't worry. I have some things to say on that as well. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this terrible video that I put together drunk as hell at 2:30 in the morning with Pup ruining my recording, so I hope this is somewhat entertaining, and I hope it gets a good discussion going. If not, that's okay. This is not my best video. Other than that, thank you for watching and supporting. I'll see you guys in the next video. Love you all. Peace.